Aloha! It's the 18th of July 2021 and we're looking down on the East Pacific where we've got two tropical cyclones going on. We've got Major Hurricane Felicia over here and US is up here, Hawaii over here, and this is Guillermo Tropical Storm. And Felicia is really quite something, a small hurricane that is currently 120 knots according to NHC, putting it as a category 4. There seems to have been some debate over the maximum intensity this incredibly well-formed annular hurricane became over the last few days. Here is a loop of the last 48 hours of Hurricane Felicia. And by the way, if you think you're going to get the answer as to how strong this storm actually got to in this video, you are sadly mistaken, because I do not have the expertise to make that determination at all. However, but we can see the storm shifted towards the south and probably fed into some warmer waters, and the cloud tops got in that period quite cold, looks like down to about minus 80 or colder. So a very tight annular hurricane. That means that there is virtually no rain bands on this thing. And you can see that lack of rain band activity by these quite amazing microwave satellite images that look through the clouds and detect the rain in some sense. And usually you would see some rain band activity on a hurricane, but look, it's just one small donut eye and virtually nothing else. Over the last 4 hours, there has been a little bit of warming of the central dense overcast. You can see the dark colors slightly disappearing. Maybe an indication that Felicia is finally getting fractionally weaker, but it's still looking extremely impressive. The satellite-based estimates have, it appears, been underestimating the intensity of the storm, as they've had it consistently between 3 and 4 intensity, when in fact the National Hurricane Center have had it up reaching a peak of 125 or so. Due to the small size of the storm and the distance from land and the lack of aircraft reconnaissance, the National Hurricane Center did state that they don't know how strong exactly the storm got, or they were uncertain of the estimates anyway. Others have suggested it may have become a Category 5. Looking ahead, Felicia will move into the Central Pacific, but it's moving over cooler waters and increasing shear, and looks like it's not going to pose any threat to Hawaii. We'll keep an eye on it. As for Guillermo, doesn't look like it's doing much. Meanwhile, over in the West Pacific, it looks like the proverbial shit is going to hit the F. Wait, meant to be S. It's going to hit the fan. With a whole multitude of storms. Currently we've got a tropical system or depression over here, but the main big fellow is this bunch of thunderstorms, which is looking to spin up into pretty significant typhoon probably. And beyond that, well, I believe the model is preparing for a bunch of other lows too. Right, this is pretty crazy indeed, with the typhoon or potential typhoon over here, and then we've got the other low over here. So these are the two things to keep an eye on, and watch the movement of the second low near Hong Kong. And this is the European center model, and the second low over here actually I think is perhaps under the influence of the much more significant larger low, which is heading in towards Okinawa, although passing to the south. Okinawa is up here where it says Naha, and the other low then sits on the coast off Hong Kong, develops, is small, and then it actually doesn't come ashore, or actually it's right skirting the coast, while the other system is heading in slowly edging past to the south of Okinawa across those southern Japanese islands, while the other storm is heading into, oh, what's that island called? I keep forgetting. Anyway, it's lingering out there, remains pretty decent, and then the other one is heading in towards China, and that is by next next weekend, basically. And now what have we got going on? So we've got these two storms. This one somehow has remained offshore and is now back out into the South China Sea, while the other one is heading into China as a pretty nasty looking typhoon. We turn to the good people at the Joint Typhoon Warning Center and look at what they're predicting. And they are in fact taking the storm in towards northern Taiwan. So they're actually between the European Center model and the GFS model. They don't make the storm particularly strong, making it peak at 85 knots. I think finally on this system I'll look at the Hurricane Wharf. The Hurricane Wharf actually intensifies the storm through middle of next week, and the storm peaks intensity in this model at 100 knots, 110 knots, 110 knots, around about that value. So it's getting into major hurricane category and a strong typhoon, but it does actually weaken it slightly as it gets closer to the island, then the run ends. So the H-Wharf is going higher than what the JTWC says. And now we come to that tricky little low pressure system off the coast of Hong Kong and northern China. And I hope you're sitting down and ready for this, because this is something. The Hurricane Wharf keeps the low offshore and slowly intensifies the storm. This is next Monday. It's a small storm lingering off the coast and intensifying, getting close to back towards Hong Kong here in the Hurricane Wharf. Now bear in mind this is of course just one model, almost certainly won't turn out quite like this, but it does get it up to typhoon strength right off the coast and then takes it off and intensifies it more, becoming a major hurricane strength system, small major hurricane strength system, and actually takes it towards Luzon in the Philippines. It's probably interacting with that larger storm to the north in a Fujiwara type effect, which is why it's got this totally crazy track. I have to say this is really, really weird. So that's going to be very interesting to watch. Finally, we're not quite done with the West Pacific yet, because the third major low area is what forms after it, and this is going quite far into the future now, towards the end of July, and that storm system comes in towards Japan. And I'm interested because I may, if this turns out to be something, I may be able to chase some bits of it, because I'm going to be in that region. Anyway, definitely will be watching out for that one. So there you go. Wow, I feel like this video went on a bit of a turn right there. All of a sudden this system off Hong Kong is looking very interesting, and then the big storm here. And Felicia, what about Felicia? How strong do you think Felicia got? Why don't you leave a comment and make your guess, and any other comments you have. Alright, see you in the next one.